met.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
It's time for a little blood.
This is the Angry Chicken.
I hope you like my invention.
I'm gonna eat. Reporting for duty.
Greetings and welcome back to the 9th episode of The Angry Chicken, the Hearthstone podcast. I am Garrett Weinzerl, and with me as always is Willie Dills Gregory. Miss Jocelyn Moffat is sadly absent today. She's busy with important school stuff, I believe. She told me
she's on a worldwide tour trying to convince everybody that Eye for an Eye is a good card now.
That's what she's doing. That's clearly what she's doing.
She's on a mission. She was like, screw this. I'm going door to door if I have to. Eye for an Eye wins games.
Garrett and Dills keep making fun of me week after week. I'm getting signs and bumper stickers made. We're going to change this. So the laughter you hear in the background is Jocelyn's replacement for this week. Mr. Ben Brode from Blizzard Entertainment, the senior game designer on Hearthstone, is going to be joining us for an interview at the top of the show today. Ben, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's good.
We're excited to finally get into the belly of the beast here. We get to talk to the people who actually designed this game that has sucked away all of my life for the past 3 months, 4 months. How long has this game's been in beta for a while now? So
exactly,
I'm not sick of it ever. I will play this game for 10 hours a day if I could.
Twitter's been blowing up all day since we announced you're going to be on the show, and people are like, ask him this, ask him that. But I really want to just derail the conversation for the next 30 minutes and read page after page of complaints from my girlfriend to you about the time I haven't been spending with her, and instead playing this wonderful game.
You know, I found getting a laptop and cuddling in bed next to my wife while I play Hearthstone helps dissuade some of that. So
there you go. See, quality time and Hearthstone at the same time.
Both Katie and I actually can't wait for the iPad version of this game for that very reason. We're just like, man, if we could just lay down under covers and not have to be sitting upright in an office chair, this would just be...
Oh, it's fantastic. It's amazing.
Well, when I played it at BlizzCon on the iPad, immediately all I could think was, I want this all the time. I want this right here. Because I've been doing it with Splash Top and stuff, but it's not the same, because you have to change your settings to get it to fit the screen, and then kind of zoom in and out until you get it just right, But I find I do very well in Arena when I'm in bed. For whatever reason, I seem to go 9 wins all the time when I'm in bed. It's weird.
It's the calming factor. You
exactly. Yeah.
You don't make rash decisions.
I got to start keeping stats on that when I'm in bed.
Right. In bed compared to at the PC. How do I compare?
Dills has a separate spreadsheet just for that.
Exactly.
So, anyways, so we're not necessarily hot off of BlizzCon, I guess, at this point. I don't know what the fallout from that convention must be like for you guys there at Blizzard HQ, though. So maybe it feels like you are very much in the wake of BlizzCon over there.
The afterglow from BlizzCon lasts for a really long time. It's so exciting to be at BlizzCon and talking to everybody who likes the same stuff that we like and likes the games that we're excited about, and just talking to people about ideas that they have or other cool stuff for Hearthstone is just amazing. So I still feel like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the feedback is very real in that scenario too. I mean, instead of just I've read all your forum posts and you respond a lot to what people had said, and the thing you said about the coin was the first time I'd really kind of caught wind of your name as far as being tied to the game and stuff. And then at BlizzCon, it has to be oh, this guy's actually telling me to my face what he thinks about this game. We spent so long, it's a little different than I think the text feedback you guys are probably inundated with all the time.
Yeah, well, we are a pretty small team, and so we definitely absorb all feedback we can from everywhere. We get feedback from different parts of the company. We get feedback from people at BlizzCon or on the forums or on Twitter or everywhere. People are always sending us ideas and even just stuff that they're not sending us, but just talking about, in podcasts or on Reddit or things like that. We read all that stuff and try and get a bunch of ideas.
Do you find that people who approach you in person at an event like BlizzCon are less inclined to kind of be like ragey or on fire as some of them tend to be behind
away for
a wall of anonymity on the forums?
No, I mean, I think people really, when people really care about something, they're more passionate and more excited, and I think actually people are pretty no holds barred about telling me what they like as well as what they don't like. So I've definitely heard a lot of people complaining about balance and cards that they want to see changed and those kinds of things in person and online.
Nice.
All right, Garrett, now's your chance. You get to rage.
No.
Here you go.
I go on one tirade. We've been doing this show for over 2 months now. I go on one little tirade.
That one tirade was so good, though. You know, I mean,
you're just mad because I got you with a really good math is not that hard joke, and that's the only reason. But
3 times 2, though. What is 3 times 2? You got to figure that out when you play something with Wind Fury. You know,
right? Exactly. So at BlizzCon, we finally got our first taste of a well put together, well produced live Hearthstone tournament, the Innkeepers Invitational. What did you take away from that tournament over there on the Hearthstone team? Like, did it bring like what decks did you guys see that kind of blew your mind that you're like, okay, as soon as we get back to the office, guys, we're making this and playing around with it?
First of all, I'll just say that whole event was, I think, amazing. It was super exciting to see that many people like excited about Hearthstone and tuning in on Twitch and watching it at BlizzCon. The vibe was really incredible. I know a lot of people probably weren't there at the show floor watching, but just being amongst, I felt like thousands of people who were, talking about strategy and like, oh, what's it going to do next or whatever, and then cheering when something amazing happened. It was, I think, pretty special. It was pretty cool. And I think the biggest takeaway for the team was like, hey, this is a game that we kind of suspected all along this was a game that'd be really fun to watch. And then as the Twitch thing started blowing up more and more, we kind of like, okay, I guess this really is a thing that people are excited about watching.
Oh,
and then at BlizzCon, it was just kind of a nothing like we could have expected. So it definitely sets our expectations for what kinds of features we may need to work on in the future to help support that kind of stuff even more. And then as far as decks, actually, a lot of the decks that people were playing were pretty in tune with what's happening in the metagame. We get to see all these really cool stats. And we showed us some of that at the talk, the kind of stuff we could see. We could see every win percentage. We can even see every person's deck. I mean, if we wanted to get really deep, we can go take every deck from the top player and see all of his deck lists. And so I knew a lot about those decks, but actually there was one that surprised me. Rekful's Mage deck, actually using Alexstrasza to get the opponent within kind of Fireball Pyroblast range, I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that deck was kind of a trendsetter because you see that all the time now. I mean, playing the Cold Light Oracles and all of that stuff. Because basically the cards are a bigger advantage to him when all he has to do is burn you down, and you hadn't really seen that stuff before, and now it's everywhere. So every time I see a Mage, I'm like, okay, here we go. Just get me to turn 8, and then I'm dead. But I mean, I think that the feeling on the floor. I mean, because me and Garrett were there. I was actually in the front row.
Oh wow!
The like when say like the top deck Consecrate that won a game. Stuff like that. The game you probably would have won anyway. But still, it's very exciting. It's almost like someone hitting a home run or something in the 9th inning. It's like, oh, we got the perfect thing that wins. It was just, and everybody went nuts. When it happened.
Yeah, well, like when Rekful missed lethal, it was like listening to people scream at a ref that made a bad call. It was, it was so cool to experience.
Because everybody cheered around me when he drew the Frostbolt. Everybody realized like that card got him lethal, and then he immediately played the Murloc, and everybody around went, oh, like all at the same time. But that type of reaction is really important to have in a game that people want to watch. You have to have those moments where it's agonizing when somebody makes a mistake, and it's like thrilling when someone gets that perfect scenario. So, I mean, I definitely agree with you. The feeling on the floor there was intense and amazing.
Yeah, I'm a big StarCraft fan, so I've been enjoying live, video game tournaments for a little while now. But clearly, there's a big difference in the tone of the game between StarCraft and Hearthstone. But I think you absolutely have a solid spectator game on your hands here.
It's pretty different, right? StarCraft, you're kind of watching almost like physical prowess, right? Something that you can't ever do that, right? Like
it's like watching golf. It's like watching golf for me. Like I'm like, I'll never be able to do what this guy did.
Exactly.
But Hearthstone, like, presumably you could do that, right? Like maybe you didn't think of that deck, or you that guy's thinking 2 moves ahead of where you are thinking right now. But presumably you could have played that card at that time. You just don't, right? You're not thinking like that. And so watching it actually makes you a better player just by kind of absorbing those strategies and moves. I think that's pretty cool. It's something different anyway.
Yeah, it's much more 1-to-1 than StarCraft is, I feel.
Well, I feel like it's close to watching poker almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you actually do, like, when you see someone who's really good at it, you do see, like, oh my God, he knows what's coming, or he realized that this move was possible, where the normal man wouldn't have seen it. But then you realize that you could do that, and it gets everybody to, like, want to sit down and try these things out, try these strategies. And I love the fact that you can watch a tournament, see a deck that, like, just dominates, and then just go home and try it. Like, build that exact same thing.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's like, I have some new toys to play with when I get home. Yeah. So with the, you said it was pretty in line with the meta that you were already seeing internally leading up to it. But were there any specific card combinations that, I don't know, brought maybe new imbalances to light? I'm not saying this is imbalanced, but for example, we had the turn 3 fully healed injured Blade Master with turn two. I'm sorry, if you have a coin, right? Yeah. If you have a coin, which I don't necessarily think is a balance, because it's 4 cards.
Because it's hard to do.
Out of 4 cards, you need 2 of them.
It takes
right
3
away.
cards to kill it off. So
right.
It's not like it's going to happen all the time. But.
Exactly. But I had personally not seen that play before that tournament. I was just like, wow, that just seems genius. So did anything like that kind of rise to the top?
That play specifically, what didn't surprise me, we were running a deck at least that had that combination in it for a while. But again, the Wreckful deck, using Alexstrasza as such an aggressive move, I kept thinking that he was playing a more control style deck, and he would heal himself with Alexstrasza when I watched him play it. And then I watched him do that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a pretty different strategy for a mage deck like that. So that was surprising to me. But at that time, those decks, actually, the way they had to do that tournament, they had to lock those decks in like weeks in advance. Mm-hmm. So the metagame had actually shifted wildly after that point. Yeah. But they weren't able to respond to that. So it was kind of like this, I think they called it like a snapshot of the meta at that time when the decks were due, which is kind of interesting.
What's funny is that after that tournament too, because the meta had shifted, then that tournament happened where a lot of the people who maybe weren't paying such close attention to what was going on, all of a sudden it got flooded with those exact decks again. So it was almost like that tournament caused the meta to go back 2 weeks in time.
Exactly.
It was like, traveling back, and it's like, oh my God, Control is back. What's happening?
Well, yeah, like we went up to the guild hall, and it was like, well, there's nothing but Paladin decks as far as the eye could see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was actually looking at I was looking at Artosis' Paladin deck recently, and it's interesting. I'm running Paladin right now, and my deck is super different than any other Paladin deck I've seen. I'm running, I think this is an interesting stat, I'm running 10 cards that cost 6 or more in my Paladin deck.
Whoa, okay.
It's pretty different.
I've seen the Paladin deck that uses, I really like this deck, it uses Avenging Wrath to try to, Holy Wrath? The one that draws a card and then deals the damage. And then you run Molten Giants, and you try to just luck box 20 damage on the hero.
It happens. I used to run a deck
so
like
good.
That.
Yeah,
it's every once in a while. Actually, the one game I remember losing the most with that deck, I was at sub 10 health, and my opponent was at 1 health. And so I knew if I Holy Wrath, I'll kill him because I didn't have any 0-cost cards. But I drew my Molten Giant, who at that point cost 0 because I was under 10 health. I dealt 0 damage and lost the game. It was terrible.
Okay. That's no good. That's rough. So on the subject of BlizzCon, I think one of the biggest things that was announced, or at least one of the biggest changes coming to the game that was announced at BlizzCon, is the overhaul to the ranked play system. Mm-hmm. So it's getting, I think, a much needed overhaul. Has there been any discussion over at Blizz about maybe tweaking the gold reward? Because at least in our personal chats, I think bringing the rewards from constructed play in line with that of Arena has been something we've talked about a bit on the show, and I was curious if it's something on the horizon.
Sure. I think actually the rewards for Arena are better if you're doing really well in Arena, but if you're not doing very well in Arena, then actually you're probably better off buying packs with your gold. But in any case, we want to make play mode, ranked play, much more compelling, right? I think everybody wants that. It's really exciting in Arena right now. Ranked play, especially once you get to 3-star Master, there's not really anything else for you to do there. So we're trying a couple things to try and make that more exciting. One is that we have the new ranks themselves, and when you get all the way to the top, the legend rank tells you exactly how good you are. So that hopefully is more compelling, right? You're trying to compare yourself against your friends and see who really is the best all the time. So that's one thing. Another thing is that we're not yet, but soon giving away those ranked card backs that you'll get for just participating in the season. And so that'll give you a pretty exciting reason to play in that mode, I think. And then also, if you win 500 games with a class, you'll get a golden version of the hero that you play for that class. So all those three things combined, I think will end up being a lot more reason to try out play mode and play in that mode. And hopefully you'll have a decision to make when you play, like, oh, I really want to get some more wins for my golden hero, or at least get that that new card back, or should I play in the arena and try and go for 12 this time? And I think that's at least should be part of it. You should be kind of like, oh, I really want to do both. And I hope we can get there.
You bring up a good point too with the because I'm finding, so I got to 3-star Master pretty fast, and I definitely found that it was like, all right, well, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm just going to play really weird decks now, because I'm not fighting for... Actually, if I hadn't found out that there was no Grandmaster, I actually spent quite a long time trying to get Grandmaster, and then I was like, wait, what's going on here? But with Arena too now, once I've gotten most of the cards I think that I need at this point, it's almost like I'm just playing just because I just try to get 9, So to me, like the ranked play, if I could just play just to try to get to the top level every month or every reset, that would be worth it to me. Because even without the card rewards meaning that much at this point, because I have most of the cards I need, I still find Arena very compelling just for the challenge factor of trying to best myself or best everybody else,
Right, exactly.
So I think you guys have hit the nail on the head with this kind of reset ranking that then matters all the time. So, because now it's like, okay, I'm 3-star mastered. What does that mean? Well, I just played for a month, or 3 days, or however long it took. So I think I'm really excited about these changes. Well, and Garrett knows I'm an Arena player, so
absolutely
this could switch me over.
Something I'll say is that this is definitely something that we're trying, and we're looking forward to hearing a lot of feedback about how this feels to play in, and are there any other changes that we need to make. So definitely keep letting us know how it feels, this new mode. We're excited about it, but we're getting into the hands for a lot of players for the first time here. So
sure. It looks good. Just from me and Garrett both were sitting there watching the announcement. As soon as we saw this change, we both looked at each other and we're like, yes, thank God. Like, this is what we wanted. So
yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
We were walking away from that panel, and we're just like, well, if we were worried about content for the show for the foreseeable future, that issue is out the window.
Yeah. And you're starting to see, I think, now, and I don't know, Gary, you probably, I know you haven't played as much Arena as me, but I'm starting to see a shift towards Constructed as people have played so much Arena that they have gotten a lot of cards.
Oh, yeah.
Some people just play the Arena just because that's what they like, but a lot of people are doing it just to earn the cards, you know, rather than pay real money. This was their way to earn cards. Now they've earned a lot of cards, and now they want to build the decks with those cards. Like, they opened those packs and they got excited, and now they want to play with them. So I think you're seeing a shift too, just over time, people going that way.
Often, actually, I find that I'm in the Arena and I made some interesting deck, and I find some card interaction I wasn't, I didn't know about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. I'm going to make this deck and try this out and see how it fares in play mode, and that's something that also moves people between the two modes.
Crazed Alchemist, that's my new Constructed card, just because of Arena successes with that card.
That's probably my most recent discovery as well. I was so averted to that card for I don't know what reason originally, but just like got it in one of those picks where it's just like, well, there's a Murloc and something else that doesn't go in with my deck at all. I guess I'll go with the Alchemist, and then it's like, oh wait, I can kill off Lightwells with this thing. This is amazing.
But how about this? Put it in a priest deck, and now the thing that has 4 attack that you couldn't kill, you can kill it now, because you can make it higher or lower attack depending on what you need. It's amazing.
Yeah, he synergizes in real well with priest decks. So, developing Hearthstone, if I'm not even sure if there is a single thing, but like what do you think?
Developing Hearthstone, go.
What single element makes for the most issues when it comes to balancing this game? Is there a single one, or I don't know, or even if it's a personal answer, like if I have to balance one more Enrage card, I'm going to lose my mind, kind of thing.
I think there's two things that we pay a lot of attention to. The card types that are the most likely to cause balance issues historically for us have been cards that increase the health of other minions, especially minions that do that. So, this may make you guys laugh, but actually, once upon a time, Unleash the Hounds actually gave your beasts charge and +1/+1. And that's ridiculous, clearly.
Okay.
I mean, in the one-turn kill deck, you're still going to kill them in one turn.
Yeah.
But it actually pushed all those beasts kind of out of the range of AoE or other card effects, and so we changed it to +1 attack. It'll change again in the next patch. But those are the types of effects that we felt like had big issues in our game that we didn't expect. And then another thing we pay a lot of attention to as far as not necessarily balance, but when we're creating cards, is actually the wording of cards. How many words are there on a card? How easy it is to understand right away. And I personally take a lot of joy in how do I get maybe a complex idea into the fewest number of words possible, and can I get it to fit on a card? Because I really like the science art of distilling those ideas
It's both
into bite-sized pieces.
Actually, I think we talked about this at one point that like the Shadow Madness card doesn't immediately, like if you were just to read the card, doesn't necessarily like right away mean to me that it has charge when I steal it, like things like that. And it's got to be very complex to try to figure out exactly how to boil these big ideas down into.
Well, we talked about that card a lot, and we just felt like, okay, we could add the words, and give it charge or something like that with charge. I don't know. And every word you add to a card makes, especially every condition you add to a card, makes it harder to understand what's going on. And we felt like, look, you'll look at this card and you'll be like, if you can't attack right away, this card is stupid.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right?
So we'll just do it. Yeah. You'll play it once, you'll realize, oh, okay, that's how it works. And you get some expert knowledge. We think it's kind of cool that experts kind of know a little bit more of the intricacies about the game. And the new players will read it and hopefully kind of at least understand how they think it should work the first time.
Yeah. I love doing science when I'm playing too. Like, how does this work? Let's find out. All right, let's try it and see. Like the first time I played the coin with 10 mana to see what happened. Stuff like that.
Start doing Hearthstone Mythbusters in a live game.
Yeah.
That's how we do it right there. So we were just talking about finding interesting kind of card synergies in Arena. Do you have a personal favorite that has popped up? Like, you just couldn't believe that these two cards work together in that way?
There's always combinations that surprise me, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. I mean, a lot of these cards we've been playing with for a long time.
Yeah,
working this game.
The Acolyte of Pain was a 2/4.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I definitely.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
We made much worse mistakes than that, and we're still learning. We still have a couple balance changes we're going to make in the next patch. That not too many, but hopefully people will be excited about those too.
Yeah. Now, what about so you mentioned. I mean, I do think that something like the health changes, that is the most annoying thing to deal with. Like the Blood Imp is probably. I mean, I've built decks where I changed cards because I couldn't deal with a Blood Imp.
Yep.
And so like when you look at cards like
Mad Bomber.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like, so I need 2 Mad Bombers then to deal with this guy. But I mean, like when you look at a card like Blood Imp, I mean, has there been talk like this card might be too crazy, or like Power of the Wild, or like these other cards that just buff everything? Are you guys pulling back on any of that, or what's like? I guess
I mean, Blood
they
Imp
don't feel overpowered, but they can be in certain situations.
Yeah, Blood Imp certainly helps to counter one of the biggest counters of Rush decks, which is AoEs. Blizzard or Holy Nova or Consecrate. You play a Blood Imp and all of your Flame Imps, jump out of the way of those spells. So that is something that is very strong, and especially if you don't have a way to kill it and then AoE, that can be frustrating. Blood Imp is one of the cards that I guess, is on our watch list. We're looking at it and seeing if there's any way to make that card maybe less frustrating, or maybe it's fine as is. But that's definitely something we're paying attention to.
I don't think it's as bad to play against as like what you guys have changed, which is the mind control.
Right.
Which I actually predicted the mind control change on this very show.
210 cost?
Yeah, that's
wow.
Listen, like episode 4 or something like that.
Nice.
But I heard actually a really good suggestion about it, which was which I think you answered somebody about, which was just make it like a rare card, just to make it, because I think you're seeing in Constructed it's really not played very much.
Right.
It's a little too slow.
Yeah.
But in Arena it crushes people. So if you saw it less in Arena,
I think it's a little bit in some ways too slow because it exists. If Mind Control wasn't being played, let's pretend we took it out of the game, which we're not doing, but let's pretend.
Oh, God, don't do that.
Then there would be no fear of playing bigger minions, and maybe people would play bigger minions, and the metagame would slow down. And so I think every card in the game kind of has some effect on the metagame. And so I think taking it to 10 mana just gives you a couple turns to play with your big guys. Maybe Ragnaros doesn't get taken immediately.
Yes.
And that might be enough of a change to make it okay.
I think it works, because I said to Garrett, I mind controlled somebody, like somebody's Ragnaros, and then I healed myself, and I was like, well, I didn't, like, that's crazy that I could do that too. Like, I killed Ragnaros, played Ragnaros, and I healed myself. Like, crap.
At the moment, I agree with what you were saying earlier, Dill. This is like with the current meta of the game, I don't feel that it, I don't feel as strongly that it needs to be changed as I did going into BlizzCon.
Sure.
I think the rare change might be something a little
but
more in line.
Arena, it's so frustrating. You cannot play, Boulder Fist Ogres. You can't play, you get to turn 8 and you're just like, well, I can't play anything. And you don't know what to do. So,
right.
It's
10
actually,
mana makes a good difference.
Mind control is more of an issue in some of the newer ranks, copper, silver, gold.
Oh, yeah.
Mind control actually is a pretty significant card in those ranks. So we're excited about kind of making those ranks a little bit more balanced as well. And mind control that change should have an effect there.
Yeah, you get to 3-star master. There's nothing higher than 6 mana ever. So, mind control anything.
Except in my paladin deck where I run.
Except your deck.
Oh man, yeah. The paladin deck coming out of BlizzCon, I think, was one of the biggest reasons why I think Mind Control kind of saw a downturn after the case, because it's just like, well, Argent Commander is now the biggest thing in most people's decks.
I'll tell you, my favorite play against Mind Control as my paladin deck is I play Sunwalker. Usually they mind control Sunwalker, and then I play the Black Knight and kill Sunwalker.
Oh, yes.
And then they mind control my Black Knight, and then I play another Sunwalker, and I'm like, things are pretty
like
good.
Face. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's the thing. If you can just hold on to something where if they mind control this, I can deal with it, then it's, it's fine. It's cake.
It's something I don't think we talk about on the show enough is having cards, having bait cards in your deck, specifically for the reason of getting rid of removals that your enemy's holding on to. So there's been a lot of talk about the size of the Hearthstone team, that it's quite tiny by I guess really any game.
Blizzard standards.
Blizzard standards for sure. Now that after BlizzCon, after the huge success of the Invitational and the just sea of people screaming for beta keys, is the team getting buffed up? Has it already been made larger?
Yeah. So definitely, we've seen just kind of how excited people are for Hearthstone and how they want more features and more cards and all that stuff. And so we've already started to ramp up the size of the team. Most of the growth so far has been related to getting the game on new platforms. So we announced iPhone and Android at BlizzCon, and we're still working on iPad. And so a lot of the growth has been there, but now we're starting to really expand our engineering effort. Our design team is growing, the art team is growing. Basically every part of the Hearthstone team is getting larger. I think we have 7 open positions online right now. So if anybody listening is excited about working with us,
I may have applied
apply.
to a couple of those.
Awesome. But actually, a bunch of the Hearthstone team members love listening to the Angry Chicken podcast. So
very cool.
guys are doing a great job. Especially Young Woo is a huge fan.
I'm about to say I see tweets from him every now and then. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
and like after like a Hunter rant or something, I'm just like, oh, I hope I'm not just so off that they hate me now.
Just souring the Hearthstone team. So, do you think that most of the resources at this point are going to be thrown towards stability issues? Because it seems like when the actual beta hits, you guys may have an idea of how many people are going to come, but it's going to be an influx of players for sure. And what's the feeling around that? I know we're running out of time, but I just kind of want to hear about where the resources go at this point.
Stability is something that we're really care a lot about. It's got to be stable, right? There's no sense in inviting tons of people to play the game that we're excited about, only to have them not be able to play. So we have some really incredible people working on making sure that the game is stable, and they're working a lot of hours trying to make sure that it stays that way, and we're ready for more people to try it out.
Oh man, bring on the noobs. Let's do this.
Sacrificial lambs. I love them.
So we're at 30 minutes. Do we have to stop, or can we go a little longer?
Let's keep going. This is awesome.
Okay.
All right, good.
Sweet.
Good, because we have to talk about the future of the game a little bit, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we completely understand if there's just stuff you can't talk about. Don't worry
course,
about
yeah.
just being like, listen, I like my job. But I mean, in your opinion, how often do you think new cards need to be added or released to keep the game fresh? I mean, clearly there's other games to draw inspiration from. I play Magic. I'm used to my new expansion sets every few months, but
Yeah. That's a question that we talk about a lot, and it's really important to us to get that right for a lot of reasons. I'm very hardcore about Hearthstone. I play all the time, and actually I've been playing for many years now. So to me, this set of cards that we first launched with is still interesting. I'm still having tons of fun with it. So while I'm really excited for the new cards that we've been talking about, I'm still having fun with the current sets. A lot of fun. But I think everybody is always excited once you've been exploring a metagame and trying new decks, and an infusion of new cards can really fuel new ideas and even new types of decks. So we're excited to deliver that. But the pace can, if it's too fast, for some players, really be overwhelming, I guess. And so we really have to find a pace of card releases that gives hardcore players new ideas and infuses the metagame with new decks, while not... especially because I really hope that lots of new players are trying this game when we release it. And if we say, hey, welcome to the game, and then boom, 600 new cards, learn those, then it could be overwhelming. So I guess the answer to your question is we have some ideas about what the pace should be like. And our strategy of releasing adventures between expansions should help keep the pace of some new infusions pretty constant, but the adventures will have much less cards, between like 20 and 30 cards, while the major expansions will have a lot more. So we can do more kind of bite-sized pieces in between these bigger pieces of content. Hopefully that keeps the pace well, but doesn't overwhelm people in between them.
Yeah, I can see that very, very much happening when you start playing a new game, and even at the size of the cards now, how many cards there are. There was definitely a big learning curve when I first started playing the game, of trying to figure out what the hell was good and what did what. And at this point now, I mean, I could play in Chinese and I'd be fine. I know what every card does.
I did that. I played.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was
Nice.
in Korea, and I was doing a match, and I had to play all in Korean.
So you're gonna be like those sick nerd ballers that play with their keyboards with nothing printed on any of the keys.
But I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts about because when the WoW TCG was going, there's the loot cards. Has there been any talk about cards that you could pull from a pack that isn't even something you could put in a deck, but like gives you a pet in WoW or gives you something in StarCraft? Has there been any talk about anything like that?
We definitely talk a lot about how our games could interact, and that's something that I think is interesting. But we haven't talked about what specifics, and certainly we're not ready to share anything about that yet.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought, like, because that was one of the only reasons I think I knew a lot of people were buying those TCG cards back in the day. Was they were trying to get that Spectral Tiger or something like that.
Well, I'd prefer that people buy Hearthstone packs because they're super excited about Hearthstone and playing Hearthstone. That's the number one goal. We got to make Hearthstone super fun to play.
Well, you guys did that. Goal accomplished. Hearthstone is really fun to play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's done something that I can't think of any other game off the top of my head has done it. Is like a game comes out that is very much exists within the sphere of another game I'm currently playing, Magic the Gathering, and it just takes almost all of my time away from the game I was playing before. So good on you. So with actually, just to backtrack real quick.
Sure.
Did I miss a bullet point? I wasn't aware that we were going to get new cards with the release of each adventure.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do... So the way those will work is that there'll be either a boss or a series of bosses that you play against, and hopefully a fun single-player experience. And as you progress through those single-player missions, you'll earn new cards that you'll be able to play in the play modes and all that stuff. I think those might also be available in the arena as potential choices there. And so that should infuse the game with a lot of new deck types and strategies and cards that are we're trying to make them really exciting and fun while we work on the next expansion that will come after that.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. I remember when I played through the tutorial the second time, and you play like Hogger and you play the Cho or these characters. And they have cards that don't exist in the game. And I was just thinking, God, I want that card. What that guy's playing. So yeah, this sounds really cool to be able to see new stuff that you haven't seen before in that type of setting, and then bring it over the other way.
I'll tell you, we're working on these all the time, and they're really exciting. I'm super excited to tell you guys all about them after we get the game out to more people and launch the shipping game, and then we can start chatting all about those future expansions.
Oh man. Okay. You guys got me. You guys got me for a while here.
So with new cards, I'm again, this is one of those things like I'm not sure if he's allowed to answer something like this, but are we going to see? I'm not sure. The question is, are we going to see new mechanics? I feel like that's an obvious yes, given I'm sure this game's going to have really long legs, but what new mechanics can we expect? Are we going to see things that are like instants or artifacts or enchantment spells, stuff that we see in other card games?
Well, I'll tell you, our strategy for the first adventure is to not introduce new keywords or new kind of card types or any of that stuff just yet. We think there's huge amounts of design space, even with just the mechanics we have in the first two sets. So we're taking some of the mechanics that maybe didn't get as much screen time in the expert set and kind of fleshing those out a lot more and doing really crazy stuff with them. So eventually, I hope this game, I'm sure this game is going to go for years and years and years and years and years, and we have plenty of time to do crazy things. But we're going to explore the space we have right now because there's some really interesting stuff we can do with our current mechanics.
Are there any mechanics that you guys thought were like overpowered? And then, because I hear people talk about like how good taunt is, and on this show and in my stream, people know I don't really pick taunt cards kind of ever. But were there any mechanics where you guys looked at that and was like, well, I guess let's give it a shot, and then you realize like, okay, this is fine. This isn't as overpowered as we thought, or this is actually more powerful than we thought.
Well, certainly we have a lot of card churn, I guess I would say. Once upon a time, a couple of years ago, we had our card set done, and I was looking back at that old kind of set that was, we were like, okay, this is our set, awesome, and almost every card has changed every day. There's very few cards that survive to the current day card set, and so we're changing things all the time. A lot of things that we think, oh, this is going to be really overpowered, turn out not to be that overpowered, or the opposite. This card, this 2/4 Acolyte of Pain will be just fine, and then it wasn't at all.
You're like, holy crap, he drew 4 cards off of it.
What have we done?
I'll tell you an interesting story about Taunt, actually. Taunt had a long history It started out as a thing that you had to actually use on your opponent's turn. So you had a guy that had taunt, and your opponent would attack, and it'd be like, okay, stop your turn. Wait now for me to make a decision about who will taunt your attack.
Okay.
So like you were declaring blockers, sort of.
Yeah.
It really slowed the game way down. And especially players they would be used to like attacking and doing stuff, and then the turn would just end. They're like, what's going on? Why can't I control my stuff? Why can't I do my next attack? It was really unobvious. And so we made it a thing that you had to attack a taunt minion. And actually, we tried it at the time as like a one-shot thing. So you'd have to attack a taunt minion, and then it would lose taunt. And we tried it, maybe it would lose taunt for that turn, and then it would get taunt back at the start of the next turn. And then we tried, okay, what if it just loses taunt when you attack it? You attack a guy, and then it loses taunt, and then you can attack the next thing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. There was a bug in the game when we transitioned away from our web prototype to our kind of building the actual game and our actual engine, where that wasn't going away. You would attack a guy, and he would keep taunt. And we're like, oh, there's this bug. Somebody needs to fix this bug. It didn't get fixed right away, and then we realized, actually, this is way simpler, and it's totally fine. It works. It makes way more sense that it's just the thing that this guy has, and so that's where we ended up going with it. But it was because of that just bug we had transitioning from the prototype to the actual game that it ended up we even realized that was a thing we could do.
Wow, that's really cool. That's actually one of the things that I really love about Hearthstone compared to like Magic, where a lot of times I feel like in Magic I'm like, okay, I got 3 guys on the board, I play a land card, and then I look at what he's got, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to attack. Okay, I'm done.
Sure.
Because I know if I attack, he blocks, and I lose my guys, and then that's it, and I don't like that feeling of playing something and then just saying, okay, pass. I really like the idea of playing something, doing another thing, and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy the mechanic of getting rid of the blocker idea. So good job on that one.
Yeah, I think one of the most overlooked things that can be commended about Hearthstone, because the game's so much fun, everyone's just constantly talking about strategies and how the cards interact, is just how instantly understandable each and every card in the game is when you compare it to current card games on the market. Because I think it was at BlizzCon, was it Whirlwind? You showed the original card text on it, and I was like, this looks like a book. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, it just looks like a Magic card is what it looks like. And as much as I love Magic, sometimes you're just like, okay, you just played that. Hold on, so let me pick this up and just sit here and read it for 5 minutes before I decide how to react to this.
Well, we've got a huge advantage in card text with a digital game, because things like who can this affect is a question that you can answer just by like trying to play the card, and then it highlights all the targets. So Fireball in a physical game, you'd read that, it says deal 6 damage. And in a physical game, you might have to say like, okay, well, what's the source of that damage? Because I have a thing that changes damage based on who the source is, or maybe like who can I deal it to? Can I deal it to heroes and minions? Is like I think that's how it should work, but you never have to worry about edge cases with an online game, and that's something we're really excited about how Hearthstone is built for this digital space, and that's just one of the many advantages of going all digital.
Yeah, you guys also have a really tough job, I think, when it comes to balance, because if you look at, I play a lot of WoW. I do the instance and everything too. So when they buff or nerf something in WoW, it's like 0.5% sometimes maybe. You guys have solid integers you have to deal with. So you buff something by 1, or you make it cost 1 more or less mana. It's like a huge change.
Yeah.
So like how do you guys tackle that challenge of like have you just like chucked a card because they're like, I can't, no matter how much I add or subtract, I can't get there?
It's difficult. We call them crunchy numbers because they're not. You can't just do 0.5% slower or something, right? Like you got to double its power if it's a 1-drop, right? So, especially at the lower end of the tier, like how do you make a 1-drop compelling? There's only so many combinations of stats you can do. I actually think that's some of the most fun design space for me is okay, I need to have a certain number of cards that costs 1 mana. How do I make them fun? How do I make them all feel different? And actually, even though we have the inability to do really fine balance adjustments, so far it's felt pretty good, and we've been able to make balance adjustments where necessary, and even just switching a power toughness can make a big difference. Young Priestess used to be a 1-attack 2-health minion. And we swapped it to a 2-attack 1-health minion, and that actually made her vulnerable enough that it wasn't frustrating to play against. She was used to be fairly frustrating as a 1/2, and so even just something like that can help with that problem.
Yeah, I the one health minions when I first started playing, I basically just avoided like the plague, because it was just mage just kills it. Okay, it's terrible. Right. But yeah, a change like that it makes it fantastic because I can just kill it with anything. So yeah, I agree. Like I don't think right now, as I'm thinking about the cards, there's any card that I think, that card is just broken. I remember Battle Rage was broken, but I think I drew 8 cards off of it one time, and I was like, what the hell just happened?
Just milled yourself out. That's what you did.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah.
That's no good.
Speaking of that, has there been, when you talk about like the luck factor and the skill factor of Hearthstone, there's a big debate over what should be done. Should the game move more towards skill and away from luck? Have you guys discussed how to do that, or if that's a problem in your heads? I think it's fairly good right now, but I know a lot of people are interested in that topic.
Yeah. I'm super glad you asked that question because I care a lot about randomness and its role in games. And this is something that other TCG designers talk a lot about too. There's a big misconception, I think, that luck and skill are on the same continuum. So that as you get more lucky, you get less skillful. And as you get more skillful, then there's less luck involved. And I don't think that's actually true. I think you can have a game that is both very lucky and very skillful and a game that is neither lucky nor skillful. And Richard Garfield, the guy who invented the genre of trading card games, has a great talk he does about randomness and examples of those types of games. And actually what you see is that when a game has enough randomness and the players have time to respond to a random event, that the most skilled players are best at figuring out what to do in a new situation. So you see something and this thing happens and then you draw this card and now, like, I've never seen this board state. I've never seen, you at this life and me at this life and with this set of cards in my hand. How do I now take this totally random board state and solve it and come up with some position that'll get me the best chances of winning the game at this point? That's really hard to do, and that's why better players are better at this game. If the game was all luck, if it was flip a coin the game, then you would see somebody new at the top of every tournament, and the worst player would be the best player the next week, and so on. But the best players continuously are doing really well in the arena. They're hitting the top of these tournaments and ladders, and there's certainly randomness and certainly that exists in the game. But your ability to construct the best deck for the metagame and play it perfectly are the most important deciding factors in how well you do in the game.
Yeah, I agree fully. I think that it's how you manage a situation. So, say the Mad Bomber, which is, I think, one of my favorite cards.
Sure.
You got to decide, okay, I got to kill that guy first, bring that guy down to 1, now play the Mad Bomber. Put my Acolyte of Pain out first, then play the Mad Bomber. Little situations like that, and the skillful players manage the luck better.
There's a really great article that actually, I think it's on Team Liquid. They went and looked at the match between Artosis and Trump at the Incubers Invitational, and they broke down every mistake that both players made and kind of the severity they felt like of the mistake, and showed that actually, given that they had made so many mistakes, they charted all of them and said the player who made the least mistakes won the match every time. And the player who made the worst mistake lost the game that he made that mistake in each time. So it just shows, even at, I think, a fairly high, I think Trump and Artosis are incredible players. Even at that level of play, there's still lots of room for improvement. There's lots of room for, making the right deck and choosing the right strategic decision each time makes a big difference.
Well, what's funny is I read that article and I was there. And at the time, I didn't think any of this stuff was mistakes.
Right.
And then I read that article, I'm like, holy crap, that's totally right. That was not a good play. But at the time, I'm looking at it, I'm like, yep, there you go. That's what you're supposed to do. And then, nope, there was a better play. So it's what I love about this game is that it's very simple and very complex at the same time. That's really that's tough to pull off. And you guys did a great job of making that happen. So
well, I think the complexity without strategic depth isn't very good. You can have a game that is both very simple and has tons of strategic depth, like chess. I think chess is not that hard to learn how to play, but there's people who dedicate their lives to learning how to be strategic masters at the game. And you can have a game that's very complex, but actually isn't that interesting when you learn all the rules. And I think the best games are the ones that are both very easy to learn and still have incredible, but way more strategic depth than you could ever discover.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to discover all this stuff because it's, like we were talking about earlier, I play Arena not just because I like it, just the skill level that you have to do well in that consistently, but because I find out new stuff all the time. I'm like, I never even thought about playing these two cards together.
Right.
And
Yeah,
there you go.
It's great. It's you just like Ben. You just described like my opening experience with just about every Blizzard game. Period. It's just like, oh, this is so easy to pick up. 5 years later, I'm still playing this game, and I still feel like I'm terrible at it. What is going on? But Ben, you've been really generous with your time, so we'll wrap things up now. Any closing comments, and where can people find you?
I guess I'm on Twitter. I just joined Twitter at the start of the Hearthstone thing, BD Broad, so you can complain about your least favorite cards. And closing comments. I'm so excited to get the whole team is. We're super excited to get the game ready for everybody and playable for everyone, and invite everyone into the beta. We're working really hard on it. We just can't wait for people to try the game, give it a shot, and join us.
Awesome.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this game. Like it's funny because I've been in the beta since basically like the first day, I think. But so at this point, I'm like, I just feel like, oh yeah, this is this game. I play all the time. I play this game, and then it's easy for me to forget. There's a ton of people who still can't play yet.
Yeah.
And I want everyone to be able to play so bad. I'm like, oh god, you got to try it. So I'm really looking forward. It feels we're so close, and I've been excited about this for a long time. So. Cannot wait.
Yeah, I think the majority of the emails and tweets we receive are just people who are stoked that they just got a beta key. We still get multiples of those every day. They're just like,
awesome.
Garrett Dills, Jocelyn, I got a key. What's your battle tag? Like, it's
just pure joy when someone gets a beta key.
Yeah, I haven't been a part of a game and a community that's just been like overflowing with this much positivity in a long time. So congratulations, because you guys have built something really special over there. So
I wonder what people are going to do in their Twitch streams when there's no more beta keys to give out. What are they going to give away? They actually give away like prizes that cost money and stuff. Oh man,
I'll have to go back to trying to find like SteelSeries headsets and stuff to give away.
I know.
That's not going to be fun at all.
Oh,
all right. Well, Ben, thank you again. This is a great episode. Can't wait to get this up for the podcast audience to hear. So hopefully we'll talk to you again in the near future.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for reminding me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was super fun. I'll see you in the arena or constructed.
Good night.
Good night.
Brother.
All right. Well, that was
incredibly fun.
That was fun. Let me if this doesn't get edited out of the podcast. I apologize. I'm just fixing the overlay for the live crowd, and we will finish up this episode. If this does get edited out, then you have no idea what I'm talking about, and this never happened. Yeah, it's good stuff. One of these days, XSplit is going to give me like a editing room for in between stuff like this. All right, we're good.
Yeah, thank you to Lindsay, Zariah, Ben.
Yeah, thanks to all of you.
Hooking it up. Young Woo. Awesome.
For listening. I hope I didn't make you mad last week with the Hunter rant.
They're listening.
They're listening.
They're right behind you, Ben. Blizzard is right. Or sorry, Garrett.
With any
Ben's
luck,
not here anymore.
with any luck, Young Woo was listening and was just like, I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain. That's what I'm hoping for. So I have played so much Hunter this week because that's the dailies I keep getting.
Really?
It's awful. Your camera has now frozen.
Really?
Yeah.
Turn it off. Still showing up in. Okay.
Turn it off. Give it like 5 seconds. Turn it back on, and then we'll finish up the show. Ah, beautiful. There's your.
Still showing up in. Thanks for calling me beautiful, Garrett.
There's your gorgeous face. Oh, it's so lovely.
I'm not wearing the glasses for once because I realize they reflect, and it's weird.
Yeah, we need to get the lighting set up like Mr. Tom Merritt has.
Oh my god! Right?
His camera setup is quite nice.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's very sexy. All right. Well, let's continue on. Thanks again to Ben, to Lindsay, to Zariah, everyone over at Blizzard who helped make that interview happen. It was I had a blast, but we still have a show to do, so let's get into this week's news.
Good news, everyone!
I'm still not used to the bumpers, and I'm still going to keep laughing after they're played. So
Bumpers for the win.
Yeah. So if you are a beta tester, like you and I are, Dills, and you just said that you constantly forget that it's a beta, you were served with papers this week. Well, digital paper in the form of a survey that kind of peels back, I think, the layer. I took this as list of possible new features as opposed to boring survey.
Pretty much. That's pretty much exactly what we got was, here's the things we're thinking about. What do you think about them? So,
yeah, exactly. So lots of stuff for in-game features, and then there was even a section for premium paid features. Going down the list of some of the more interesting stuff here, one of the things was how interested would you be in being able to set up multiple profiles for one Hearthstone account?
Yeah, very interested, kind of. I don't know. It's to me, this is like less important than the other stuff, so. But I would. Kind of like having multiple characters in WoW, I think.
Yeah, the only reason I personally would like this is if I had access to the same cards, just so I could just never leave rank, but experiment more freely.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you could make it so that you're not changing your MMR with like your main tune, I guess you could say, I think that would have a use. But the problem with it, I think, and the reason we may not see this is it could be used very much like as like a kind of a troll account, you know. You can create it just to like friend spam people, which I've already actually, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you gotten like friend requests that are basically spam? Have you gotten this yet?
Not in Hearthstone.
In Hearthstone, I got a friend request, and then I assumed it was just someone from my stream, so I clicked accept, and then they tried to sell me gold.
How can they sell? So in like WoW?
Yeah, they tried to sell me WoW gold.
I was about to say you can't buy gold in Hearthstone.
It doesn't even know. They gave me a link,
and very soon you won't be able to do it in Diablo. That's strange. Yeah, that's very strange. Yeah. I mean,
but I don't think it's a big enough reason not to do this.
I'm assuming it was probably sent to you because of your WoW account, and you just happened to accept it in Hearthstone.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm thinking
it's all Battle.net anyway. So
right, but that's why I hesitated. I was like, well, I haven't got. I get spam invites all the time, but it's not for anything Hearthstone related because there's nothing they can sell me.
But it's Battle.net, so like, what does it really do for you in the end with Hearthstone?
Yeah, I'm curious actually. Like when someone out there gets a complete set of Hearthstone cards, how much that account's going to go for on eBay?
Oh, right.
eBay or whatever.
Well, no, someone's got to have it.
There's going to be that story.
Like I almost have all the cards. I'm not missing that many, and I think the account that has all the gold cards is the one that will go for the money.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Get every gold card. Holy crap.
Raids, meaning cooperative play versus a single powerful boss. Cooperative meaning more than one player on the same team. That was one of the options. I clicked very, very, very interested. I actually added more dots to the checkbox.
Yeah. I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who wouldn't want to do this.
Just your real elitist competitive people. That's about it. Your guys that
yeah, but I don't think that I think they still would do it. You know, just because it's not their most exciting feature to them, they would still do it.
I don't know. I come from StarCraft, sir. There's plenty of people who've never touched the campaign, even though it's amazing.
Oh, sure.
And they're missing out horribly.
But they would do the campaign if they needed to get cards from it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
If StarCraft, if you had to unlock units by doing the campaign, you would do it. Everyone would do it.
Yes, but there'd also be a lot of flame in the forums if that happened.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah,
can't please everybody.
More in-depth display of achievements and statistics. Yes. I am, of course, excited about this. Dills would like a fully functioning version of Microsoft Excel just implemented inside Hearthstone.
And talking to Ben, this isn't that far-fetched. I mean, they obviously have all the information. So how about just me being able to go and see, like, how often do I win when I go first? How often do I win when I go second?
Right.
How often do I win with Mage? How often do I win with Hunter? Like, all of that stuff could be right there in the game, and it would be amazing. Because then all this, all this work of building spreadsheets and maintaining spreadsheets, which is, I mean, I like knowing this stuff, but I don't like having to deal with the spreadsheet,
Yeah.
Because I basically have to tab out of what I'm doing to enter in what I'm doing. Or what happened, and it's just annoying. And if I forget, I'm like, oh no, like my information is incomplete, so.
Plus,
I would love this.
If Apple commercials have taught me anything, there's nothing fun about spreadsheets.
Yeah,
There's nothing fun at all, even though Mac is actually my work computer and the PC is my fun computer. Anyway.
Mine too, yeah. I go the same
digress.
way. Yeah.
Recorded replay of your last match? Absolutely.
Of course.
The sooner this gets here, the happier I'll be.
Yeah. What's funny is like this is a feature in so many games that are, to me, like less developed than Hearthstone. Like I was playing the MOBA on my iPad, the Gameloft MOBA on my iPad, and I could replay my last match.
Well, that's just because it's Gameloft, and they just take whatever's popular and make a kernel copy of it, and
But
like,
they still have to build it.
It had a
what I mean?
replay.
Still-
Okay, I guess it's getting a replay feature.
It's still a feature that they have to build, though.
Right.
So it's like it still
Absolutely.
takes up developer time. But yeah, I mean, to me, in this game, it makes so much sense. If I could watch my last game at like 2x speed or something, and just kind of really quickly go over what just happened, which I mean, you see right now the popularity of streams and videos for Hearthstone is kind of outrageous for a game that's still in closed beta.
Yeah, and combine this with a spectator or an observer mode, and clearly, I mean, we're biased. We're here making Hearthstone content. This would mean amazing things for us because we could have people send in replays and we could cast them. We could throw it up on YouTube, and that kind of stuff would be great as opposed to having just people send in horribly compressed videos and.
Yeah.
All
So I
that
was
kind of
watching
stuff.
the 2P tournament today, and Trump was trying to grab from both streams. So both players were streaming on their own, and then put an overlay of the other guy's cards over his cards. So basically, he had like a window within a window that was showing the other guy's cards, and it was just really clunky to have to do that as someone trying to cast a game,
Yeah.
And obviously it was pixelated because he's grabbing from one stream and bringing it to another, so it was like a stream within a stream. It was streamception, and it was just it was just really like it was hard for him to deal with. He was trying to cast it, he's trying to do that, he's trying to manage this and like move the little box around and stuff. So if this existed in the game, you would see really professional level, like with the StarCraft stuff and the League of Legends and all that kind of stuff, with the stat overlays and all that. You would see those kind of casts going on for Hearthstone, like instantly.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt in my mind. I would take money out of pocket and do a tournament that week. Like
Yeah.
that day. All right, guys, I'm throwing up $500. Who wants to compete for it? Not that I have $500 to pull out. I just realized
I was like, I'll enter.
I made myself sound like a baller. I unfortunately don't have that kind of money to throw around, but yeah. Anyways, it's something I want this more than anything else in the game for me personally. But like I said, you and I are just a hair biased.
Yeah, but I think most people want it. So
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a competitive game. It already is.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. Additional in-depth tutorials. I'm personally not super excited about something like that. We got those much later down the line in StarCraft, and they're still in the game, and they are super dated as a result.
Yeah, I don't think I think the tutorial you get is fine. And then if you feel like you need more practice, you play the AI.
Yeah.
I would rather the resources go towards the other stuff over this. So
Right.
I put I don't really care when it came to this one.
Agreed. And with unranked play, I mean, you need practice. Just play a real person.
Mm-hmm.
You'll pick up on things fast enough. Play again option after a battle is concluded. Sure. Not the.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing though. If we're talking ranked play, and then I can play again the same person, it could get a little broken because then basically it's like people are going to try to like spam back to me, basically. Like,
right.
They just crushed me and like their deck is superior, or it's an exact counter to my deck. They're gonna be like, play again. So right now, I mean, it's pretty easy to play again against your friend. So
Yeah, 'cause
again, it's not that important to me.
Yeah, because as long as you don't go to do something else in the game, you're still in a pre-game lobby. So you just pick your deck again and you hit go. I think the interface is already delightfully simple. You can tell that this is aimed for a tablet.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be fine. Like again, it would be something where it's like play again, and then you accept or don't accept, whatever. That would be fine. But I don't think that it's like a necessary feature. So it's not something that I think is like we need to make sure we get this going. I would like the option though to send a friend request to somebody you just played, because there have been times where somebody did something crazy, and I'd like to be able to like, hey, you want to be my friend? And then that thing you did was crazy. Like actually say it,
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, well met again. Yeah.
Now clearly there'll be ways to abuse that. People are gonna friend you just so they can tell you how much you suck for playing whatever.
You a noob or something.
Yeah,
but you don't have to accept their friend request, and you can deny it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've made in-game friends in StarCraft. This very same fashion. We get into a team game and it actually went really well. It's like you'll ping them afterwards, like, hey, you want to make a pre-made team and let's play some games in place and see how we do.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that me and you might look at this from the perspective of people who already know other people who play this game, right? But somebody who's just playing by themselves and doesn't have a bunch of other friends who are already playing can probably feel like this game is very isolated, like not very social.
Right, and it does.
You can't friend somebody. You have to know their battle tag with a number at the end and all that. So, it's going to feel a little like I can't make a friend in this game. I just can't do it.
Yeah, well, expanded chat features was something they also had on here, which I'm not something I feel like makes or breaks the game, and definitely not something I want in randomly match. I don't want it in my ranked play. I don't want someone chatting at me, but I would like to see something just like chat rooms, like in StarCraft right now. There's custom chat rooms. There's one for StarCast. For all I know, there's one for Angry Chicken talking about Hearthstone in the StarCraft client. I don't know, but something like that would be nice.
Sure, yeah, and it's not that hard to add, so I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, and give me a new version of Baron's chat, and I'll be happy. WoW talk. We need like the Hunter talk drop. We need a WoW talk drop for this show.
We don't talk about it enough. It's not like me and Scott with our hunters, where we just never shut up about them.
Yeah. Now on to features you might want to pay for. They meant the first thing is like new art for each hero class, which I'd be down for that, especially if it's a different character altogether. Like, so not all shamans are Thrall.
Yeah. No, I mean, when I've talked about this, I would like to see 2 for each with 2 different hero powers, but damn it, I should have told Ben.
I should have told Ben how I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, well, he probably knows if it's going to ever happen or not, but
yeah. Additional deck slots. Yeah, I would absolutely pay for that.
I think that's the type of thing that they should charge for.
Right.
Yeah.
I want the ability.
This is the thing I said yes to.
I want the ability. I don't think it was in here to reorganize the order in which my decks are ordered.
Drag them up and down.
Yeah. This was a feature that was so late to the game in WoW. I had like my bank alt at the top of my.
Yeah, but it's not a game breaking thing, so I don't think we'll see it for a while until they have some time to just go, hey, make those movable.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
New card sets. Clearly.
Nope.
I pay.
Nope.
What do you mean no?
I'm not gonna pay for new card sets. No way.
So you need to tell me that an expansion comes out and there's now boosters for this new expansion. You're not going to pay money for those boosters?
No, I'll pay for them, but I'm going to be pissed if that's how Blizzard decides to give new cards to us. What do you mean? I said this last week on the show. What are you talking about? You don't remember?
We talked about it last week, but I assumed you weren't saying that you don't. This is like saying the new expansion for Magic comes out and you're not going to pay money for that new booster.
Yeah, but that's the thing with Magic. I don't want to play Magic because I don't want to buy all the cards to have to be competitive.
But if
this is what Hearthstone does so well. You don't have to buy the cards.
No, but I'm not saying that you would exclusively have to pay money for it. You could still win it. You could still pay the gold price for it, the iron price.
Well, yeah. But this is listed not in the regular features.
But I
listed in premium features.
I did not read this as in behind a paywall. Is not how I read this. I read that like, hey, if we put out an expansion, would you pay money? Okay, I think you're insane, sir.
No, when they say premium features, new card sets, this is paid for cards, and that I said no to. When I did the survey, I said no, I will not pay for new cards. because I don't want them to think that I will. I don't want them to think that people are willing to pony up real money. That's the only way to get that card.
I think I really feel like this is just like semantics because I don't see them ever putting cards exclusively behind a paywall. I feel like the way it is currently set up will
They
always
will if you
exist.
say you're going to do it. They will if the people say, "Oh yeah, I will pay for cards that no one else can get without money," because that's what other games basically. That's what they are.
See, I read this as would you pay for it in the ecosystem that currently exists in the game, or you could also
Yeah,
pay for
but-
it with in-game currency.
Garrett, why would they put this in there? Because you can do that now. Obviously, you can pay for new cards. Like that's already there.
I don't know.
So why would they be asking you?
I don't know. Well, I'm just going to be honest and I'll lie to myself and say if they did put it behind a paywall, I would pay for it. So I was honest.
Well, I mean, I would, but I don't want them to. That's the thing. It would piss me off if like there was and I said this last week, if there was like the Death Knight class with the Death Knight cards, can't get it unless you pay $10. Like I would be very vocal and angry, and then I would pony up my $10. But don't do it, Ben. Don't do it.
Okay. All right. I got you there. New card back artwork. These are the card backs that we already have been. It's been confirmed you'll be able to earn via ranked play. But would you pay for even cooler ones? I would, and I already. I want like an Illidari card back that's like dark purple with glowy green runes on it.
Yeah,
That's what I want
See
more
now,
than anything.
I said yes to this, but this is why I said yes to all the things that I think they should add as premium. But that doesn't mean I'm going to pay for them. I'm not going to pay for any of it. Just like in WoW, I don't buy the mounts. I don't buy the pets. I don't pay for any of that stuff.
I don't
care enough.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't. Every now and then I'll pick up a pet if it's for at least if they have
That's
a charity.
the only thing I ever bought was the one that was for charity. Yeah,
Was it
that's
the
the only time
Moonkin they were
bought
doing
them.
for that? I think it was
Which one?
the baby Moonkin. They did that for years back or something.
No, I can't remember. I thought it was the golden dragon dude.
Maybe it
or
was the
something.
Golden Dragon. I don't remember which one. But whatever the case, I feel like for whatever reason with this game, I wouldn't mind, dropping $1, $2, $5 on a few things that just make my set stand out from everyone else's because it's a game I spend so much time inside.
Well, that's the thing is that to me, these are the things that I feel like this is acceptable to charge for this stuff because it's not necessary at all.
Right.
It's literally just here's something extra for the person who wants something extra, and everybody else doesn't have to do anything. That's why the cards, I'm like, no way. Like, don't ever do it with the cards because it's like charging for a piece of gear in WoW, and it's to me, it's no.
Okay, all right. It's just the way I interpret it. I'm just like, well, you can already pay money for cards. I'm clearly going to pay money for cards, so yes, I would pay money for cards.
But they're not. Yeah,
Right.
but they're not.
Yeah, I just thought it was a dumb
restricted
question.
from someone who doesn't pay.
Yeah. Okay.
But you see what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
They wouldn't even ask it. They wouldn't even ask this
Right.
question.
Okay, so I now agree with you, sir. I am on the Dills train.
Okay.
It smells like pickles.
It's kind of dirty and gross in here too. Might want to like wash your hands.
The music is really good though. I'm totally
true.
down with the playlist. There's a lot of no effects and like
The
Gaslight
band
Anthem going on
yeah.
in here. It's good. It's all right. By the way, everyone, if you didn't tune into our time on Brian Ibbott's Coverville Coverthon, it was fun because it was like Hearthstone, punk rock talk, Hearthstone, punk rock talk. It was a lot of fun. Additional in-game emotes, yeah,
Sure.
It depends. If I get my GG, I will pay $1 for a GG emote. And then the final one was the new themed battle boards. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I was actually thinking about. Like, this is exactly the kind of stuff. Like, if I could play a Northrend for $1, right? Like, that would be kind of awesome.
Oh, and like my portrait sitting on top of the Frozen Throne.
Exactly. Yeah, that kind of. You have the little dude hanging over you, all charred and whatever. Like that kind of stuff. I totally see as being premium content in the game.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
what they should concentrate on if they're trying to find new ways to squeeze an extra buck out of people, because it'll happen.
So to sum up your thoughts, you agree with all of this except for paywalling new cards.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Anything that has to do with the gameplay itself, everything else, go for it. Free reign.
Cosmetic stuff, go nuts.
Exactly.
Go
I don't care.
absolutely
Yeah.
crazy. Give me
because I can just choose not to buy it.
give me Thrall with a Santa hat for Christmas. I don't care. I don't know why I
But
keep coming
you know
back
what
to
would be
Thrall.
cool though is if they have these cool things like that for money, and then they have like the crappier thing you can earn through gameplay. So then it's like the guy who's doesn't ever want to spend money can feel like, yeah, that's something to work for. And then, what happens is you get people doing that kind of stuff, and eventually they pay money anyway. I think Blizzard knows this stuff. They're already
all of
aware.
the portraits you should unlock without paying money should be gnomes because they're not cool.
You turn yourself into a gnome every time. Yeah.
You unlock the gnome, and then everyone else has like dragons and
yeah, and you're like, wait a minute, that dude's a black dragon.
The different aspects and Guardians of Azeroth. That'd be wonderful. So there's that. We got a link to a Eurogamer article that kind of covers a lot of this stuff. The other big piece of news from the week, and you actually already mentioned it slightly, is the 2P Hearthstone tournament, which is already in progress.
Well, it's actually okay. For those who don't know, this is kind of groundbreaking for Hearthstone anyway, because the prize pool is $3,200 for the winning team,
and over $1,500 for the runner-up.
Yeah, team.
Yes, keyword team,
yeah,
team,
which is like history. The first time you have a tournament that's actually like a big money tournament in Hearthstone. And the game's not even out yet, and there's already a tournament like this, so that bodes well for the future, obviously.
Yeah,
but basically
strange
the way it works,
format.
What's that?
Strange format. This tournament.
So
I don't know how I feel about it.
It's a little weird, but people are still trying to figure out how to do a tournament right now. Mm-hmm. Anything that people are doing currently is pulled from some other card game, or like it's just an experiment, And at some point, it'll all kind of settle in, and we'll know like how Hearthstone tournaments should be run, what kind of rules should be in place and things. But basically, it's a single tournament. You play by yourself, and it's 128 people in China, 128 people in North America. Those people go down until there's 4 in each, and then they play against each other as a team. So similar to what StarCraft uses, which you instantly knew what I was talking about.
It's similar to one of the types of formats. Yeah. Not the most popular format, not the format used for WCS either. This tournament is very similar to the Team League format we see used in the GSTL over in South Korea. Mm-hmm. The way that in the Hearthstone tournament, we've got 4 players versus 4 players, and it's like a team roster, and the first team to eliminate the opposing team's roster wins. So you got 4 players, and your first guy up, if he keeps winning, he gets to keep playing. But if he loses, the next guy in your lineup goes up.
And this is what this is, yeah. And, to me, it's like, I don't know, it's cool, but there's a problem in that someone could make the finals and then never play. The team, obviously the team would win.
Absolutely.
And that'd be fine, but I don't know. It's like, I want everyone to play. Like, one guy could just destroy the whole other team. And then it's like, well, wait, was the team better, or was just that guy just better?
Well, see, that's where I don't necessarily... That is where my personal issue with this format for Hearthstone comes in. Mm-hmm. Not the issues you just mentioned, because I'm used to it in StarCraft. But in StarCraft, team leagues, at least for me, the draw for me is that the teams that are clashing, that are playing against one another,
yeah, they don't know each other.
They're established teams. These are guys who all practice together. A large majority of them, in most cases, live in a team house. Mm-hmm. So what you're seeing is the closest thing to a team sport in StarCraft that you'll ever see. You get to see the whole team sitting there in the bleachers with their coach, about and like discussing like, okay, you're going to go up first and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of like, as a fan, you come to it with your own baggage. Like, yes, I love this team. I want to see them do well. I can't stand that team. I want to see them lose. But this is just 4 random strangers.
Yeah. Well, but again, though, there's no. The game is so new. There are no established teams. So if they want to do a team tournament, there's no other way to do it.
Well, right, absolutely. Right now, but that's why I'm just like, why even do it?
Why do it?
Why not just do a standard? Even if you want to make it fancy, do double elimination.
I think the idea here was just to go like China versus North America, and how do we do that?
Yeah.
And how do we place people at that point? So. It's fine. They're still figuring stuff out. It's a little weird, but these people will all. Everyone now at this point, this is kind of a small, growing community of these people who are, really good with the constructed play. And I'm starting to see names pop up again and again and again. So eventually, all these people will know each other, and maybe these teams will form. But for now, there's no existing teams yet. So maybe there will be at some point. But I would like to see, instead of this, I would like to see some sort of like a race to 3 type of situation or something where everybody plays, and then if it's tied 2-2 at the end, there's like you each pick one guy, something more along those lines, rather than this like eliminate everybody and one guy could beat a whole team if they're going to do a team thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe I don't come from the StarCraft world, so it's not totally normal to me. Like you probably think like, well, that's just how that's done. But
yeah,
to me, like looking at it just from, no perspective on it at all, other than just like looking at those set of rules.
Right.
I would like to see everybody on the team matter. Because it's like basically like, okay, so what if in baseball I could put Barry Bonds up batting first, and then if he gets a home run, I get to put Barry Bonds up again. Like, and then he hits a home run, I get to put Barry Bonds up again. Like, that would be a little crazy, right?
Well, that's a really cool thing about it in StarCraft is a lot of times the team leagues bring out players you don't see a lot of in the major tournaments because they're not the top 32 players in South Korea, but they're like these like these weird snipers. Like they're really good against this one type of matchup. Yeah. So they'll send them out and hope they get an early snipe and that maybe they carry the team further than expected. And then they save their star player for this reserve. Like, oh crap, we're down 3 games. If we lose the next one, we're out. All right, let's send in our star player.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's, Hearthstone will work in that scenario because of the fact that the decks can counter each other so much, that one guy will probably not beat all 4 guys because they can put up a counter deck. But again, like if there's one guy who's just head and shoulders better than everybody else at the game, his team will always win regardless. You know what I mean? Like, unless the other team just gets lucky with the draws or something. So, just from someone who has no experience with this type of tournament previously, I would like to see it a little differently. But, I'm not running a big tournament offering up $5,000. So it's not really my place to say how they do it.
Yeah. I would prefer just to see a 1-versus-1 tournament. Give me like a round of 32 double elimination if you want to get fancy.
Well, what I think would be cool is if they just went, okay, so if they want to do China versus NA, China gives us 1 winner, NA gives us 1 winner, and then they have like an epic battle, like best of
7 or something.
Best of 11. Like
best of 11.
Really long one. Yeah. Like an epic showdown, where it's like somebody has to win a lot of games. Because, okay, well, so previous that, like, I come from like the pool scene a little more than like, or like the poker scene where like winning a tournament is like it's an endurance thing, it's like you got to win. And then it's like they have like race to 100 is like the best way to figure out if someone's actually better than the other guy in pool, because each game there's too much luck in one game. And I think Hearthstone does have some of that,
Yeah, well, that's why I like double elimination in StarCraft, is because if you've got that losers bracket, whoever makes it out of the losers bracket and goes to the grand finals has just played twice as many games as whoever won the winners bracket. And if they win, you're just like, holy shit, this guy's amazing.
Well, then they have to win twice in the finals, right? Or do they not do that? Because double elimination, there's one guy who's never lost who gets to the finals.
If they usually in StarCraft, if they've met before, so if the winner was the guy who eliminated the guy who went into the losers bracket and won, the wins carry over, because usually it's say best of 3 up until the finals, and the finals is a best of 7. The 2 wins carry over.
Oh my god, that's really weird. Okay. Most double elimination will either say like, once you get to the finals, it's just 1 game, or when you get to the finals, you have to beat the winner twice to actually win the tournament. So the guy in the winners bracket has like a huge advantage when it comes to the end. He's played less, and he still hasn't lost twice. So he actually has to lose twice to get eliminated, right? So there's like 2 ways to do that type of tournament.
All right. Well, anyways, if you're interested in watching the American qualifier, which the quote-unquote qualifier is the round of 128 all the way through the round of 32, started tonight, and it's going through tomorrow. I guess the stream starts at 2 p.m. Pacific time? Mm-hmm. All right.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Wait, tomorrow?
It says it goes through December 2nd. Oh, no, today is December 2nd.
Today is
the final day.
So Red deck wins in NA. And His name is Red, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And he beat, I think the guy's name was I Dip My Finger in Your Ink or something like that. It was something
really weird and
I dip it in your ink or something
and somewhat
like that.
creepy.
A little bit creepy, yeah.
Like you feel violated reading his battle tag?
Yeah, a little bit. But
Okay.
so I watched the Final Four.
Not nearly as creepy as I drink your milkshake.
Yeah, not
Nearly as
quite.
creepy.
Because that's usually followed up by a bludgeoning. But yes, this I dip in your ink. There you go. Defty in the chat just told us. But I watched the Final Four and aggro. Everyone's playing aggro still. Until somebody figures out a way to combat this. To combat this like effectively and consistently, this is what's going to happen. It's getting even worse. Worse. It's getting even more aggro. Elven Archer has now entered the playing field.
Well, I was running that in my rogue deck for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand what you're getting at there. But the finals will be taking place on December 7th at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard. So there's that. I'll have to stay up a little late to watch
should be
that.
awesome. I'm looking forward to that. There will be VODs, of course. So
Okay, I was just about to ask. Are these guys good with VODs? What we need is, and guys out, if you're all Reddit maniacs, this is what I want. For StarCraft, we have a subreddit called Spoiler Free SC, and it is the single greatest subreddit on the face of this earth, because all it does is collect all of the VODs for StarCraft games played, and then have links to all of them listed by tournament, and it's spoiler free. Someone create that for Hearthstone, and I will be forever grateful. So there is that. Let's finish out today's episode with a few emails.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
Emails can be sent to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from Jason, who says, "Hello all. Been playing a lot of Arena lately and would like to get your comments on deck building. Do you think that the choice between 3 cards is sufficient? It makes it terribly difficult to make a deck with variety. I'm finding that to be competitive, I have to make the same aggro deck regardless of which hero I choose. Would a choice between, say, 5 to 6 cards allow more flexibility in deck design? Similarly, do you feel the hero powers add enough play style to be competitive for each deck design? For example, in Magic, you could draft a blue-white deck and use bounce or wrath effects to retain board control against both aggro and control decks. Running black or red allows controlled removal with either aggro or pump effects, as win conditions are also equally viable in control or aggro. He said that he feels the current arena setting, that if he doesn't have a creature on board by turn 2, it's almost an auto scoop, and definitely by turn 3. So he's talking about just the ramp up in this game. It's hard to catch up if you fall behind in the first few turns. Are you muted, Dills?
yeah, I'm muted. Sorry.
I'm like, okay, at least it was that. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh no, don't tell me we're losing him at the end of the show here. That would be terrible.
Yeah, so I agree with what he's saying, that most of the time in Arena you're picking kind of the same neutral cards.
And this isn't. I think we've talked about. Did we talk about there was the Brian Kibler article that was really. It was a similar sentiment.
But I mean, the thing is, I don't feel like it's a problem. Because okay, so the way it is, you pick a class, and within that class, there's like, I don't know. So okay, I picked Mage, right? So I'm gonna pick all the fireballs, all the pyroblasts, all the blizzards, all the sheeps, I mean, there's certain cards for Mage that I'll always pick. Let's say I pick Shaman, I'm gonna pick all the fire elementals. I'm gonna pick all the, I mean, there's like cards within each class that are kind of the auto pick class cards in Arena because they're so strong on their own. And then there's the strong neutral decks. So I don't think like giving us 5 to 6 cards is going to mean that suddenly I'm not auto picking fire elemental. You know what I mean? Like I'm still going to pick the same cards. Like what he's saying, I understand what he's saying. He's saying like, okay, now I don't have to only pick the one card that's strong on its own. I can maybe go for like synergy because I'm getting more options each time. So I get more chances to get the cards that synergize. But you're not going to trying to turn Arena into Constructed is just a mistake, in my opinion. Like, don't try to make the two the same. Don't try to make me able to construct a perfect deck in Arena, because that's not the idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see, again, not to harp on Magic does this, but in a Magic draft, you end up with way more cards than you could construct your deck with, and I would love to see, even if we get five more cards than we actually put in our deck.
Yeah, pick 35 and then throw 5 out.
Exactly. And not,
that'd be cool.
Or even have them sitting there, and maybe you can board them in between games, because it's not like you're playing the same guy.
True. I mean, that could be interesting, but I think that slows things down, and I think if there's anything that I got from our interview with Ben is that they don't want anything that slows the game down.
Well, it's not going to slow the actual game down.
No, I know, but it'll slow, like, a new player. It'll make things more complex, basically, is what it'll do. And it seems like they don't want to make things more complex. They want the complexity to come from the interaction of the cards with each other, not from overloading you with options. So I doubt we'll ever see anything like that.
Well, then maybe taking 5 extra and then getting rid of the 5, because then it would be no different than you could present it in the same way you present mulliganing your opening hand.
But again, though,
XXX
I don't
gone.
know, dude. I feel like, to me, this is like people who are struggling in Arena trying to figure out a way to make it easier. And I mean, that probably sounds like an asshole thing to say to someone who's struggling in Arena, and like, you know, but it's true. It's like, it's okay. It's the same thing I said when they made hunters be able to shoot when they're running. I was like, wait, they're making it easier to play hunter? Like, it was, you could already do it. You just had to stop it. It was like a skill. It was a thing you had to do. It made every shot you got off mean more, because if I could get off more shots than you, that's why I was doing more DPS, right?
Okay.
Stutter stepping and all that stuff, right?
All right.
So if you give me 35 picks, suddenly each pick matters less. Like, now I can, like, kind of throw some picks away, and it matters less. Right now, you have to agonize over each pick if you really want to pick really well. So,
but I think what he's saying here is that you don't, like, you end up picking the same cards over and over again.
No, but you do, because every pick matters so much. Like, if you had 5 to 6, the likelihood of a good card in every pack would be so high. You'd still be picking the same cards. Some cards are just better than other cards. Like, right. I don't think this changes. Like, what he's expecting it to change, I don't think it would change. All it would really do is make everyone's deck would be better. And if you could pick 35, everyone's deck would be better. You know, so everyone would just have a really good deck. And I think that the picking of the cards needs to matter a lot, and right now in its current format, it does. So
you can.
I don't think Arena's broken in any way. I don't think they need to change it, personally.
Okay, I'd still like to see play. I would counter this discussion the same way I would counter the discussion about hunters being able to move, with the question of, but is it really fun that you're not able to move while shooting? No, I would argue that it's really not fun, and actually seems more like an archaic remnant of old MMOs.
No, it was fun for me, actually. I quite enjoyed it. Because I enjoyed, like, it taking some thought. You know, I mean, now I can run and I can just spam everything, and I don't know. It depends on who you are.
Right.
Like, again, like, is it fun to get mind control? Not really. Is it fun to play mind control? Yes. You know, like, is it? You know, it's like, it depends. Like, who you're talking to and what's, you know, it's whatever. So,
right.
But to me, I want each pick to matter a lot. So I don't want there to be, like, some kind of way where it matters less than it currently does. And when you get those terrible picks, you got to figure out which card can help you the most in that situation. And I'm going to tell him right now, if he's picking, like, super aggro every time, it's probably not doing that well, honestly. Yes, you want a lot of 2-drops, but you want strong mid game as well in Arena.
Yeah, it's not necessarily 2-drops that you're in a deck where you're trying to kill something. I mean,
yeah, the 2-drop is just to start board control out early.
And if they don't die, then you set yourself up for buff cards like the Shattered Sun Cleric or the Defender of Argus. Just because you're playing something on 2 doesn't mean you're playing an aggressive deck.
Exactly. Having something on 2 just means that I'm not falling behind at the beginning. But, like, in Constructed, you must have the aggro. In Arena, I've actually gotten away with having, like, 3 2-drops. It's really hard. So you're not really, I don't draft for aggression. I just draft to have something on every turn, basically. But again, I just want it to matter. I want it to be hard. to be good at it. I like it when it's hard to be good at something. I don't want it to be like frustrating for everybody, but I want it to mean like when I got good at it, it meant something. You know what I mean?
Oh, true. I just don't think. I mean, in a format like this, where if you're drawing more cards than you actually can put in your deck, I don't feel like that's making it easier. I feel like it's taking out part of the chance that you are just truly 100% screwed with the cards that were presented to you. You at least have a little buffer. It's like, okay, like these were just garbage, and at least I pulled a few extras I can replace it with. Because there's a reason the draft format is competitive in Magic. There's a reason the same guys win over and over again.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with Arena. There's a reason that people win in Arena all the time.
Oh, I know.
So the reason Trump goes 9, like 5 in a row, and stuff like that is he knows what to draft, and he knows how to play the cards he drafts. And I hear a lot of people like, this is just a terrible draft, terrible picks, But everybody gets the terrible picks from time to time.
Right. Well, it's like we were talking about with Ben, reading that Team Liquid article after the Innkeepers Invitational, like, holy crap, that was a terrible play.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just never know. I don't know. I personally just like more options, and that gets that and pulling extra cards gets me to put on. I get to put on my constructed hat, even if it's a tiny version of the constructed hat, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
So there's that. Anyways, Dills, would you like to take the next email?
Sure. This is from Arthur. He wants to talk about possible expansions. I will skip to the meat of his email.
Yeah, it's long.
Yeah, exactly. If an expansion comes out, my suggestion to bring it in line with the existing game is sell the expansion for $10. Now with the procurement, I know. Now with the procurement of the expansion, the individual will receive 3 free packs that will only contain the new expansion cards, 1 new hero, Death Knight or Monk, which will contain 1 new legendary and 20 cards. Now I love what he says about adding more cards to the other classes and things like that. But you already know what I think about this. No, I don't think they should charge for any expansions in this game. I think the pay model is free to play. It's a freemium game. If you want to pay for cards, you pay for cards. But if you don't want to pay a dime, you don't pay a dime. And if they move away from that by charging for an expansion, then they move away from that. And that's not what it is now, and I don't think they should change it. And they're going to make plenty of money regardless. Blizzard's not going to be poor because they didn't charge $10 for the Death Knight class.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it just stay as is, and I hope that when expansions do come out, that pack boosters are separated. That I can buy a Heroes of the Storm booster pack or group of packs, or I can buy the new expansions booster packs. I hope all the cards aren't then just thrown into a massive pool.
Yeah, I see what you're saying about that.
That's my only
hope.
I
already have these cards, yeah.
Right, because that's how every damn card game does it. I mean, because there's just so many cards, it would get out of hand.
And I think, honestly, they could even do it where you always are just getting the new stuff, and then if you want the old stuff, you can just craft it. Whatever, it wouldn't matter. They could do it multiple different ways, as long as they don't make me pay for anything that I don't want to.
No.
And he actually says it. He cites it in his email. Even Dills, who doesn't like spending money in the online store, would think twice on whether or not to spend money on something like this. Yeah, well, I wouldn't think twice. I would do it, but I would be pissed off that they changed how the game works.
Yeah,
it wouldn't take me 2 thoughts to figure out that I need to buy it, but please don't do that, Blizzard. Sorry, Arthur. I think your idea is sound. I just not in this game.
Yeah. Just because I'm gonna buy cards. Just if a new expansion of 200 something cards comes out, you better. Yeah. I'm buying 40 packs day one. I'm gonna crack them all, and it's gonna be a blast. Yeah. And you're all gonna sit there and watch me whine on stream when I get no legendaries. Yeah. So thanks. Thanks
By the way, I have a golden angry chicken. Berserker Gnome just reminded me in the chat that I pulled golden angry chicken last time I opened 40 packs.
Did you keep it for good luck?
Oh, of course.
Okay, good.
I'm going to build the deck around that thing. I'm going to make it work, damn it. I'm going to get that thing enraged. I'm going to make it like a 14-3 or something. I don't know. I'll find a way. I'm going to make it like a Gromish Hellscream. It's gonna be sick. I'm still figuring out how to do that, mind you. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
Actually, oh no, that wouldn't work. Okay, never mind. I'm coming up with stuff in my head, but I don't think it would work.
It's okay. Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks for your emails, guys. If you're wondering why today's show is missing 2 segments, is because we had to make time for Ben's interview.
God damn it, Ben!
How dare you? How dare you?
Segments.
How dare you come on this show and give us an open window view into the studio that makes the game we're talking about? You know, it's
Ben
just
was amazing to talk to. It was so
it's a
good.
blast.
Talk to someone who's making something and is clearly very excited about that. Like,
Oh yeah, dude, it's
if you talk to me about what I do at work, I would not sound as excited.
yeah, same here. My bosses will never hear this because they just I know. So yeah, no, you're not.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't.
You're not going to get the same level of enthusiasm out of me about my day job as you would hear about me say, talking about Hearthstone, for example.
Exactly. Unless we could make this our day job, then you would. Then you absolutely would.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, that'll do it for today's episode of The Angry Chicken. Thanks everyone for tuning in. As always, thanks to those of you who left us 5-star reviews in the iTunes store. Thanks to Broadway Blues. Thanks to Mike Willow, who said, "Good job, Cluckers." And thank you to Atma002. Thank you for your reviews. Don't have any Canadian ones this week because Jocelyn is missing, and I didn't.
But I'm
go-
sure they were polite and they said the word "a" lot.
Yeah, and they were confused why we were talking about Thanksgiving last week.
It's true. Yeah. Those Canadians, they don't know what's going on. Uh-oh, 1-star review. Nope, it'll never happen in Canada.
No, that's too nice. One of them's going to give us a 1-star review just to spite us, and it'll be from Jocelyn. She'll be like, I'm sick of it, guys. I'm sick of it. What are you talking
You'll
about?
get a 1-star review immediately followed by a 5-star review. Like, sorry, I gave you a 1-star review.
As always, the Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv. Go bookmark that page because it's where we post all the shows, links to the show notes, and stuff like that. Also, check out frogpants.com as we are a part of the Frog Pants Studios Ultra feed. You can see more about this and all of the other shows on amove, like I said. We record live every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. That's AMOVETV. Follow the channel. You won't miss a show. We're on Twitter at TAC Podcast. I can be found at Garrett Art. Dills can be found at Willie Dills, and the missing Jocelyn can be found at GIS Gamer. Big thanks to Brian Griffith, the musician responsible for our intro music. His website is briangriffithmusic.com. And you can find my personal graphic design work at nomoonart.com. I'm always available for freelance, so go check that out. Dills, how about you?
Well, you can find me streaming fairly often, except for this last weekend, which was holidays. So I didn't stream that much, but streaming on Twitch at Willie Dills SF. So it's twitch.tv/Willie Dills SF. Find me on the Instance, which is the World of Warcraft podcast, so you don't have to. Torturecast podcast about the Giants, and of course the MJ Media cast about the Mediocre Golf Association. And also I'm starting to finally get some Hearthstone training sessions going with people who were kind enough to donate. So I'm doing 2 of them tomorrow, and I think like 3 on Sunday or Saturday.
Nice.
So that's happening. That's a thing now.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so if people are interested in that, go to my Twitch channel to find out more. Should be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to. I think I'm going to learn a lot too. Just getting to talk about Hearthstone with people. So looking forward to that. So if that's something you're interested in, there is a way to do that.
Wonderful. Our shirt can be found on slashloot.com. Go to youtube.com/darkeyeshow. I forgot because we will be adding more Hearthstone coaching VODs once our guests' recordings stop crashing. So go follow that YouTube for that. Big thanks to our sponsors, DogHouseSystems.com. Our code is TAC, and that gets you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig. We thank them for their support, and we thank you for listening. We'll see you all next week with episode 10, and until then, job done.
Job's done.